We were wrong about Ikigai. I was wrong about Ikigai. Especially in situations in which life can be really hard. I'm quite sure you agree with this. You don't know what's the point of everything. And that's quite deep already. What is the point of waking up every day? What is the point of having healthy habits? What is the point of going to work, paying your bills, having a good routine, having relationships with different people, and maybe learning languages and trying to be the best version of yourself? And I believe that each one of us, some sooner, some later, go through this type of questions and start wondering in which direction your life is going. And honestly, it happened to me more than once, but especially after university, I felt completely lost. No idea of what to do. I had no idea of what job to seek and look for. I didn't feel really capable and competent, and imposter syndrome hit me like a train. And to be fairly honest with you, this happened to me again very recently. A lot of people start looking into self-help books. This is something I'm guilty of. Productivity videos, inspirational videos, philosophy, religion. Some people try to distract themselves with different forms of recreation. This is one of those situations where you feel completely alone, and in reality, you're not. It's very frequent. I came across a diagram, and you probably know this diagram because it's so popular. And let me tell you, all that you know, that's probably wrong, but we'll get to it in a sec. This diagram should represent something which is an Eastern type of philosophy called Ikigai. So let's take a step back. In this video, we're going to talk about what is it, why am I talking about it, and I also want to debunk some myths because like in everything, when something is from another part of the world, on the other side, everything gets romanticized or simplified, completely transformed. So I made a little bit of research. We were wrong about Ikigai. I was wrong about Ikigai. So let's start with the etymology of this word. So where does this word come from? This is actually a beautiful word. And basically it stands for Iki, comes from the verb ikiru. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm sorry. It means to live, and this is related to daily living. And then there's gai, which comes from the word kai, and it means shell. And you might say, what? But this is also linked to worth of value, meaningful, valuable. And I was trying to understand why shell is connected with value. During a period, shells were extremely valuable because they were decorated, and basically these were used by nobles, Japanese nobles. So that's the connection with value. We talk about the value of daily living, of daily life. And I want to debunk here two myths. And one is quite personal because I've always believed that it's very difficult to find one solution which fits everyone. In our society, it's usually a 50-50, a yes or no, a true or false, correct, incorrect. I found this division quite heavy and difficult to understand, and also not very relatable because it is way more common to find yourself in the middle, in the gray area, where it's not white, it's not black, it's some kind of gray. It's some kind of shade of gray. Yes, I said it. And yes, I'm quite pragmatic, so I find it very hard to think that one solution can fit every single problem. Each one of us has different situations, different life episodes, different unfair advantages and also unfair disadvantages. Each one has access to different tools and different possibilities, and we live all in different circumstances. I believe that this ideology, it is so simple at its core that you can really find yourself in this. And it is quite universal. It doesn't matter if you're miserable when you go to work, or you enjoy going to university, struggle with your finances. It truly can apply to everyone. And we are often shown also this diagram, and I really want to talk about this. This was introduced later. This is not what the original Ikigai stands for. In the past, I made a video about Ikigai after university. Cos'è l'Ikigai? Un po' un fulcro di 4 cose che sono ciò che amiamo fare, ciò di cui il mondo ha bisogno, ciò in cui siamo bravi, quindi siamo capaci, abbiamo delle competenze, e poi ciò per cui potremmo venire retribuiti. And it was in Italian, it's not on my channel anymore, but I've talked about the diagram and I can't believe how influenced I was by this. I came across one of the biggest exponents and one of the biggest experts on Ikigai, and his name, let me read it, is Professor Akihiro Hasegawa. Sorry if I make any mistakes. And he is an associate professor at Toyo University. He's made so much research. This professor has created a model which is called the constituent elements of Ikigai. The biggest misconception we all have is that Ikigai is supposed to help us with the future. And this is something which I was the first in line to believe. I'm super guilty of this. And I found Ikigai because I didn't know what to do in my future. I was starting to understand what my direction should be like. I didn't know what job would fulfill me and what type of career to pursue, and if I would be even good for a career, if I would be suitable for a career. And talking about this philosophy, it's not like abracadabra, you know what to do. It's not like that. The answer doesn't pop up in your head and it doesn't just appear like magic, but the path to an answer or more answers kind of becomes clearer because you start to see certain practical aspects. I've always thought about next Monday, next exam, next holiday, next weekend. Always the future. Always the future. Only looking at the future. Our life is not made up of just the future, because that's not the only dimension we have. Now I sound like a guru. Let me continue. We quite often forget about the life we've lived so far and we forget about the present. So the exact moment in which we're living. And I hardly ever consider the value that exists in the past and in the present. There are different senses, different emotions which we experience, and these can be even simple memories. For example, a person we love, a nice evening out, a beautiful afternoon, or a sunrise we saw. All of these situations, which are in the past, they also are part of our Ikigai. Because when we think about these, we cherish some memories. We want to be maybe good parents or good teachers or a good student or a good person, a good worker. We want to be better, also taking into consideration our past. These feelings can be from a present situation, from a past situation, and this can trigger our motivation, self-actualization, even a bigger desire to be active, to be stronger, to do more. And unfortunately, in my life, the worst moments actually resulted in being the biggest kind of motivators. And after losing control in some situations, I then found a much stronger control. One of my biggest problems is I suffer from nostalgia a lot. I think a lot about the past, but actually being so mindful about the past gives me a stronger purpose for the future because I want to have more of the beautiful things I had in the past. Does it make sense? I mean, for me it does. Maybe if you're Gen Z like me, in the past, everything was like calmer, and our teenage years, our childhood years felt so calm and quiet. And now it would feel so outdated. Maybe your everyday life is super hectic, super busy. You don't even know where to start. And this kind of philosophy might seem like old or inefficient or whatever, I'm gonna buy a productivity course. Really considering what memories we cherish, like why some memories are important to us. That's also a source of Ikigai. In the present, what moments do we enjoy more? What is the reason why I love to wake up in the morning and I don't stay in bed all day? What is the reason why life can be worth living? I know it sounds banal, but even a good meal, a cup of coffee, even a good TV show, or talking with somebody we care, like relationships and small things, those things can really add value to our lives, and those things form our Ikigai. Maybe the Venn diagram can be helpful to some. Absolutely. I've tried to use it and it did help a little bit, but if I think about this meaning of Ikigai, it makes so much more sense. There are certain ideals and values I try to carry with me through my whole life, and those are the cornerstones of basically my life. I also came across a LinkedIn post where a Japanese girl talked about Ikigai, and she said, Ikigai is not something which is necessarily understood by the mind. Sometimes we try to logic our way into everything, and probably it's not always possible. But I believe this can be really subjective. And as she mentioned, in Japan, we often reference this as our soul. It refers to that deeper something that words cannot quite clearly define. And I am definitely at a loss for words when it comes to these topics, because sometimes things are too complicated to just explain. And the reason why I strongly believe in this is also that even though I am right now in my life, my present, probably not the shiniest, and there could be better scenarios, and despite all of these situations and despite every single problem I might face, there are some elements that always give me peace and for which I feel grateful. Don't make me probably spiral into bad thoughts. I think that if you're able to deliver every single day something in which you believe, or some features, some actions that make you feel like you're in some kind of control, that's beautiful. And that's your Ikigai maybe. That's what I call Ikigai, being in control, not feeling like somebody is living my life for me, is deciding for me, but I can actually change the cards whenever I want. This is really giving me peace lately, but I'm very curious to see what's your idea if you knew what Ikigai is. And I'm very curious to read your thoughts about this. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best. See you soon.